Hey Madison, let's run it back, shall we? Week 1 of semifinals is just around the corner. We'll catch up with competition director Adrian Bozman and recap some of my top moments from our time in the Badger State on this edition of Games Central. Hey everyone, Tommy Marquez here with another episode of Games Central. And while it's been a relatively quiet week on the competition front, some news dropped last week during the post-quarterfinals press conference that the CrossFit Games would be returning to Madison in 2023 for one last hurrah in America's Dairyland. I don't know about you, but it seems like just yesterday that Madison became the third official home of the Games back in 2017. The sport, of course, originally laid roots in Aromas with the ranch as the home of the Games for 3 seasons, before heading south where Carson, California would become the home of the Games for 7 seasons as the sport became a global phenomenon. Fast forward to today, and it's been 6 seasons since the move to Madison. We took a quick pit stop in 2020 for a virtual Stage 1 of the Games before Stage 2 relocated to Aromas again, but the community has embraced our current home with open arms, and in turn, we've been rewarded with some amazing moments on the competition floor. And those moments aren't just reserved for the Coliseum setting, and I should say that in 2022, Coliseum tickets have already sold out. And generally speaking, I think our minds jump to venues like the Tennis Stadium in Carson or the Coliseum in Madison. But over the years, we've been able to witness some all-time moments outside in Madison, and here are a few of my favorites. Starting in 2017 and Madison Year 1, the race between Matt Fraser and Brent Fikowski in Strongman Sphere. To me, it just perfectly captures the essence of Fraser as a competitor. Not only was the event an awesome mix visually of gymnastics and classic strongman elements, but Fikowski and Fraser pushed each other to the limit. And it didn't matter that Fraser was 94 points ahead of Brent, or that he was 70 points clear of second. He was fighting for every single placement, and as a result, Fraser dove across the finish line, taking the pylon with him as he went crashing over the edge of the floor. Jump forward a year now to 2018, we had the emergence of a new star on the women's side in rookie Laura Horvath. The Battleground event was, in my mind, one of the best events to truly utilize all the space that the Alliant Energy Center had to offer with regards to Games exclusive programming. And Laura Horvath announces her arrival at the top of the sport with a dominant event win in the Battleground and what was the metaphorical spark that lit the fire of her second place finish at the Games that year. And last, but certainly not least, we're going back to the first event ever in Madison, the 2017 Run Swim Run event. And after 500 meters of swimming and 3 miles of running in the rain, the top spot on the women's side came down to an all-out sprint between Tia Claire Toomey and Christy Aramo O'Connell. Tia just barely beats Christy to the line, and in retrospect, those precious points ended up being huge. Remember, Tia beat Cara Saunders that year by just 2 points for the crown in what was the closest finish in CrossFit Games history. The point swing with Christy in the first event alone was 4 points, and that could have easily gone the other way without the foresight of what was to come. In that instance, every little point did matter, and the end result was Tia finally getting over the hump to win her first title of what is now a run of 5 straight, setting her on a historic path that could see her become the first to win 6 titles this season. And better yet, we still have 2 more opportunities to make memories in Madison and the spectacle that always is the CrossFit Games. You can still snag festival passes to go see it all Throwdown in person, so head on over to the Games website to grab yours today. And up next, the first stop on the path towards the Games for in-person competition is the semifinals. And in week 1, we have an awesome trio of events taking place on 3 separate continents. The Torian Pro will get the party started down in Brisbane, Australia, as 3 spots will be up for grabs in each division at a sold-out Pat Rafter arena. The Lowlands Throwdown in Amsterdam will have 5 spots on the line as one half of Europe's best battle it out in the Netherlands, and the Syndicate Crown will be doling out 5 Games tickets as well as the lead-off semifinal in North America. And staying in North America, one athlete that will be stepping onto the competition floor at the Syndicate Crown in Knoxville, Tennessee, that maybe some people didn't expect to see competing was Scott Panchik. Last season, Panchik announced his retirement after battling through a knee injury to finish 11th at the Games. Despite the retirement, he signed up for the Open, qualified and competed at quarterfinals, and has found his way back to semifinals competing for a game spot despite what may not really look like retirement to most. The kicker here is that Scott has clarified that his retirement means he's not waking up and training each day with the goal of winning the CrossFit Games. Instead, he's more focused on his family and being the best husband and father that he can be, while also running his gym CrossFit mentality. And his training reflects that. If that means he can still make semifinals and potentially the games while training casually, so be it. Scott has been a tremendous ambassador for the sport, and I, for one, would welcome his return to Madison, considering we could possibly see all three Panchik brothers at the games this year. But before any of that happens, they'll have to tackle the semifinals test. And to shed some light on how certain pieces of that test came to be, I caught up with competition director Adrian Bozman earlier today. All right, Boz, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. I know you're a busy man, so we're going to just jump right into it. The two semifinal workouts that CrossFit has programmed for the event partners have been released. And let's start with the lift first. It's the eye-popping one. That's when everyone kind of shows up and gathers around the guardrail to see. What was the impetus behind CrossFit wanting to make sure they programmed the strength or lift test? And what was also the decision behind going with the complex?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a selfish endeavor. Well, let me start over. It's a little bit selfish in the sense that if we can put out the lift that's going to be done at all of the regions around the world, then that gives us a little bit more pre-planning ability when we get to the games to say, okay, the lift that we choose to do there or lifts that we choose to do there and in the format that we choose is going to make more sense across the field of competitors that have qualified. So it gives us a little bit more control in that sense. What's more important though is the test. That's always how we view things primarily, and what is going to be the best test of strength. And, you know, getting away from like a 1 rep max where, you know, maybe it's not your favorite lift, but when you have something that not everybody can train for specifically in a strength context, I think it does even the field a little bit and give competitors an opportunity to really show what they can do from a capacity standpoint. And I mean, you have to be a brute to be able to clean something 3 times, front squat it twice, and then put it over your head. Like, there's no getting around that. The strongest will still win.
And so the other workout program is actually a repeat. It is the kind of infamous legless rope climb workout that we saw at regionals way back in 2014. Why bring it back now, 8 years later?
Yeah.
And in your mind, what makes it a good test at this point?
You know, we wanted to program something that wasn't too outside the box, so to speak, so that the semifinal event organizers still felt like they had a lot of latitude to be able to do events that were, you know, a little bit more unique to their specific competition. As far as a test now versus 2014, there's a lot to dig into. The first, on the men's side, I think the way that the field has progressed, there's no question that the top men's competitors are all capable of performing 10 legless rope climbs without a big deal. And so this workout really comes down to how bad do you want that sprint and how much can you attack through the entire workout. On the women's side, I think, you know, we're starting to see over the last 5, 6, 7 years, this depth of field that's coming in that just wasn't present in the early days. You know, you had some women that would just tear an event up like that, but you had a pretty big drop off as you got deeper down the field. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think you're going to see a much more competitive field. Again, it's not going to be a question as to who can do it. It's going to be who can do it and compete and stay in attack mode. So that depth of field is going to be really cool to see on the women's side.
What was kind of the overall bigger picture goal in choosing these two and kind of, as you said during the press conference, providing bumpers for these events as far as program is concerned?
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but the goal was, you know, we need 2 tests that are legitimate, 2 tests that are going to apply well across the field, not just in a single competition, but globally, and, you know, match where the competition is today and on a wide range. And then not take too much creative license away from the event organizers themselves.
Well, makes total sense. I know I, for one, am going to be excited to do some of the comparisons across the regions with the lift and from, you know, a repeat from 2014. I think there'll be a lot of people maybe trying it out at the gym a little bit, kind of see what's what before they see all the best athletes tackle it again. But Adrian, I'll see you over at the Syndicate Crown, and thanks again for the time.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it.
Thanks again to Boz for taking the time to chat. It's always good to get some insight from him on the programming and test as a whole. If you guys are interested in watching the semifinals go down live, All 10, yep, you heard that right. All 10 semifinals will be streamed, and you can get all of that at the CrossFit Games YouTube or on the CrossFit Games website. So be sure to set a reminder so you don't miss any of the action. And if you're looking to catch up on some content in the meantime, Miles to Madison episodes 1 through 3 are out now. And episode 4 drops and premieres on Thursday, May 12th at the CrossFit Games YouTube. So be sure to set yourself a little reminder for that as well, so you're all caught up heading into the semifinals. That's going to do it for this edition of Game Central. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.